Gates Adams here on behalf of Apex Trader Funding, and I'm here today with Jeff. Jeff is another paid funded trader through Apex Trader Funding. So first and foremost, Jeff, let me congratulate you for reaching that pinnacle level that, of course, every funded trader is looking for. Congratulations, my man.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So let's talk a little bit about Jeff and your trading history and kind of what has brought you up to this point so far. So first and foremost, how long have you been trading so far?
I started knowing about the market from scratch in 2019.
Okay.
So around 3 years,
Okay.
maybe three and a half.
3.5 years or now. Okay.
Yeah.
And so what did you start off with? Did you start off looking at futures, or were you looking at stocks or options, or how did that progress for you?
So in 2019, I just graduated my bachelor's degree in education and history.
Okay.
But after that long period of college, I knew that I did not want to, be a teacher. After all that, so I was like, this is not what I want. I mean, I finished because I wanted to finish something, but I didn't want to do that. So I started learning about crypto actually.
Okay. That sounds
That's
about
like,
right for that time frame. Yeah.
yeah, so crypto, and then it all started with a YouTube video I saw about trading. I don't even remember what it was exactly. And then there's this guy on the bottom writing something about trading, and he mentions futures.
Okay.
And it was along the lines that I'm making a lot of money on futures, but he wasn't like he was promoting anything. He just making a comment. And I
Uh-huh.
was like, what is futures? What is that? And then I eventually he made a video how he traded,
Uh-huh.
and that I was blown away. I was blown away because in a matter of seconds that thing went up. I was looking at the S&P 500, $12, and so on.
Sure.
And for someone that doesn't know anything about trading, that's like, so this is how rich people make money. Like this, this is, I mean, it was because like as you grow up, you start to wonder, how how is this gap between, a lot of rich people and me, for example, and a lot of people like me, because in order to get there, you have to work hard, obviously. And I don't know how to get there fast. So when I saw that, I was like, this is it. This is how I do it. What I did not know is that it was gonna take me 3 years to actually get to that point. So, but I didn't know that, and or back then, I consider myself to be at least smart enough
Mhm.
to, trade. And if other people could do it, then I could do it too. So it was like a boot camp of learning everything about trading. After college, I went back home from day to night, learning on my own. Um, and yeah, after a lot of frustration, and honestly, it got me to a point where I wasn't even healthy because I got obsessed, but not in a very psychological, um, unhealthy behavior, but very, very committed.
Sure.
But it didn't work out, obviously, because I did not have a mentor. I didn't have money to pay for a mentor. Everything, all the money I had left was for, well, eventually I learned about prop firms,
Right.
and I was like, oh, okay, this is my other, this is it. This is
Mhm.
this, this is how I
The next
go.
step.
Because and the next step, and all my money went through through that because I didn't have an edge. I
Mhm.
didn't have a history of backtesting a strategy. I just wanted to make money somehow. But yeah, I mean, it's a long story. It's a 3 year story where
Sure.
even
Well, and
yeah.
that's the thing. I mean, everybody's got their story, and it's one of those things where everybody sees these overnight successes. And what they don't see is all the work that they did for years that put them in a position to be an overnight success. Nobody's an overnight success. It always takes work.
Exactly. What the most you can get is an overnight win,
Mhm.
just one trade, and that's it.
Right.
But to be consistent, is you're gonna have a story. You
True.
have to have a story.
So we could talk a little bit about this. I think this is going to be good for the viewers to kind of just see what that looked like. I mean, we don't necessarily need to go into every detail for 3 years, but what was it that got you to the point where you had the confidence to start moving forward and investing in yourself, the time, the energy, the attention? And I mean, I guess at some point you got a mentor from the sounds of it.
Well, I did find an online course,
Hmm.
and that's that's how I learned about the market
Okay.
and the futures market and everything. I didn't have a mentor. I never actually had a mentor, personal mentor.
Okay.
So I in a way that's what took me so long. Maybe I don't know if 3 years is a long time, but eventually I lost all my money
Hmm.
and I had to go and work. And but I always knew, look, you're gonna work because you want to keep learning about trading.
Right.
I was committed because it's very painful to see other people succeed in something you want to succeed very badly.
Right.
It's frustrating, and sometimes the moment you see something in the market and you say, "Oh, I think it's gonna do this," and then it does, that's when you know that, okay, I have the potential.
That's the
There's
moment, right?
something.
Yeah.
That's when you know that, okay, maybe I'm starting to see things.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I got to the point too where I actually questioned if I was gonna make it.
Hmm.
Because even though you have these moments where you're right, you still break accounts. I mean, proper accounts, not
Sure.
and you're like, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna make it after all?
Hmm.
But you just keep at it. Honestly, just keep at it, and eventually, um, okay, I'm gonna say this because it's very important for new traders. Um, it's very important for you to not get obsessed with an idea of the type of trader you want to be, because I saw this guy and he hold for positions for hours and stuff, and I was like, I want to be that trader. He's looking at every market. He's looking at the S&P 500, gold, crude oil, Russell, Dow. He has everything. I was like, okay, I want to be like him. And what you don't know is that when you try so hard to be like other people, um, either maybe you will never be like them. And the thing is that maybe there's a system for you, but you have to find it. And you're putting all this time to be like somebody else
Hmm.
when you can find an edge that works for you. And then eventually I got to that point, but um, I've been losing for a lot of years,
Hmm.
and you have this like trauma, emotional pain.
No,
So
yes, I'm very familiar with that.
you have this emotional pain, and then you have this edge, which you find out. The thing is that when you look at the market long enough, you're gonna start to see things,
Hmm.
and sometimes it's things that other people don't know, but
Right.
you saw it because you have your own perspective of things,
Right.
and then you start to question that because, okay, nobody's doing this, so I must be wrong, even if I'm winning this
Right.
way. So it's very it's funny actually, but then you start to find your own way.
Right.
You start to find your own instrument because of, like I said, I used to look up crude oil, gold, S&P 500, everything.
Mhm.
The instrument that I never looked at was Nasdaq. For me, Nasdaq was like a wild horse. I don't know how we can trade that. It's too volatile. And I never traded the 1 minute chart and 2 minute chart and 3 minute charts. That was like for scalpers.
Right.
I understand. I underestimated scalpers. I was like, no, they're gamblers. I wanna see the big picture and everything.
Right.
What I did not know is that I was gonna find my edge on the Nasdaq and on the 1 minute, 2 and 3 minute time frame.
Helping,
I
huh?
did not know that at the beginning. So yeah, I think my advice for new trader is to really find your edge.
Mhm.
I mean, you can obviously learn a lot from a mentor and you can skip a lot of time. I mean, but eventually it's your own perspective of things that is gonna, make you see things in the market. So yeah, I ended up where I never thought I were going to was going to.
It's so funny. I think that there's so many different ways that somebody can trade. So many different ways that somebody can be successful. And what I see so much of is people that are just constantly looking for that next trade, that next opportunity, that next setup. They're looking, I mean, we all have YouTube. We all look for it. Like we all do it, every single one of us. But in doing so, we forget to commit to what got us as far as we've gotten already. And sometimes it can be a big surprise. I mean, I see traders that have gone from from crypto to options to futures, or whatever the sequence may be. It doesn't always line up the way that we see it in our heads, but it doesn't have to. There's a million different ways to do it, and you've got to find, as you mentioned so eloquently, you got to find what works for you, because what works for you may not work for me. Now, I also scalp on NASDAQ, so there's probably some consistency there, but everybody's going to be different. Like I just did another interview, and there was this, I can't stand to be in a trade for longer than 30 seconds. I want in and out. I like if I'm in a trade for much longer than that, I start to get anxious. I have to stand up and move around, and I don't like it. I like to be in and out. I would rather take a quick losing trade than sit there for 5 minutes hoping that it's going to win, because psychologically it messes with me, and then I bring that into my next trade. So what I have learned is speed is a benefit for me, whereas I see 100 other people who are like, I can't imagine, like you mentioned, trading the NASDAQ because it moves so fast. It's so volatile. And everybody's different. You got to find what works for you and commit to it long enough to figure out how to make it work for you. Sounds like
Yeah,
that's
and
what you've
that's
done.
another point that you mentioned, and it's very important because at the end of the day, what's gonna give you success is not learning different strategies or searching for YouTube through all these persons that have their own method. Is what's gonna give you success is the ability to sit there and just watch the chart
Right.
and sit there and just watch it. Maybe not for hours. I did for hours, like
Mm-hmm.
for hours all day.
Right.
But you have to commit to just sit there and be disciplined. Be
Sure.
disciplined to watching the charts because it's not just the strategy; it's the patience to wait for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the most important because at the beginning, first it's about analyzing.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you start. You start analyzing the market, but then it's gonna switch to not completely, obviously, because you have to analyze. That's what trading is about. But it's gonna be more about patience
Mm-hmm.
and once you have an edge, like you turn off your computer, you watch the market, and you know exactly what you're waiting for. It's about just waiting for it,
Right.
and when it happens, you just execute.
Well,
Whether
what
you
is the
whether you win or lose, you execute on that.
The worst thing I've ever done as a trader is be anxious to get into my next trade. Sometimes you're going to get a bunch of them. Sometimes you're not going to get very many. And the market is what's going to tell you, not your desire to be in that next one. That's one of the hard lessons
Exactly.
I had to learn. So, well, that's great, man. So let's talk about, obviously you've been trading with Apex. How long have you been trading with Apex?
Um, I don't remember the exact date, but it hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of months, but
Okay, so pretty quick.
um, yeah. I mean, so when I was learning,
Mhm.
I was trading with this other prop firm, and I'm grateful for it because at the end of the day, you gain experience as a trader. And but I always saw traders mentioning Apex.
Mhm.
But when you're new, you just get kind of married to one prop firm and you don't want to move. You just want to be, you just want to like succeed, because if you don't succeed in one, when what makes you think you're gonna succeed in other? That was my mentality. But Apex just kept popping out. Apex, Apex. I was like, okay, let me just check Apex out. And when I when I saw it, I couldn't believe it.
Mhm.
Like, wait a minute, these guys. No wonder everyone is mentioning Apex. So then I started looking for other prop firms because I was like, wait, if Apex is this good, then that means other prop firms has other offers. So I went and looked, but nothing came close.
Nope.
Nothing came close. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try Apex, and it's been great so far.
Excellent. So for you, you mentioned some of the struggles that you had early on. So what has the dynamic of being a funded trader and working with Apex? What has that brought to your world as a trader?
Um, well, Apex, the rules are very logical
Mhm.
and and they give you a lot of room,
Mhm.
and you have a lot of accounts you can choose. So I think that's very great. And I trade the 25K.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't believe that. I don't know why. I mean, I know why, because at the beginning I never thought I could actually trade the the little account. But
Mhm.
at the end of the day, when I found my edge, I found it with Apex. Um, I found out that on my average trade, and this is another thing that people might not believe, I usually trade 1-to-1.
Mhm.
And um, I found out that my edge, the ratio is around, I mean, on average, my winnings or losing are on average is around 200.
Mhm.
So it usually don't go over 300, and it doesn't go down lower than maybe 95.
Okay.
When I learned that, when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. If that's the case, I have like 3 bullets or 3 shots
Right.
to for me to blow the account.
Sure.
But my my strategy has, if I execute it perfectly with discipline and everything, it has a ratio around 70 to 80%.
That's beautiful.
So I at the beginning I was with the bigger account. I think I was in the 50K account.
Mhm.
I blew those up. But when I learned that, I was like, wait a minute. With this strategy, I can go to the little account, and with one contract, I can pass the evaluation pretty quickly.
Sure.
Now, it doesn't mean that I didn't fail. I did fail a couple of times, not that much, but I did fail. But every time I did, I knew that it was my fault, not the account's fault.
Right.
So I was like, look, I know I can do it. The problem is in my patience, um, fear of missing out, fear of actually placing the trade. That's what's making me blow the account, not
Right.
the account itself.
Right.
So I started reading a book. It's a very famous book about trading and discipline. I forgot the name, but
Is it Trading in the Zone?
yeah, that one.
Mark Douglas? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great book.
Yeah. So I think that that book came to me. I decided to read that book at the perfect moment
Right.
because it was in the perfect stage of my life when that book I started reading it. And yeah, I've been having a lot of success after that book, and that's how I actually got to where I am now. I mean, I've never have been paid in any funded account until Apex.
There it
So
is.
I'm very happy for it, and yeah.
Well, Apex pays out more in a month than most companies have ever paid out in history. That's ultimately that's where the I guess the proof is in the payouts. And we're so glad to have you on board and have you be one of those paid traders. And we want nothing but more success for you, nothing but more success for the other traders that are continuing to move forward in this process. And, some people it happens in 6 months, some people it happens in 3 or 4 years. Doesn't matter. But one of the things that for me always just has really stood out is that this gives traders an opportunity to keep trying. If I took $10,000 and I deposited it into an account, the reality is it would most likely be gone within a matter of months. But if I can take that same whatever or just a little bit every month and get a new evaluation or a new, it gives me time to get better, to improve, to do what I need to do to get past whatever issues I have, because we all know every trader's got some issues. And that's what makes it such a great opportunity to succeed. And like I said, it's going to be different for everybody, but I'm so glad to see you where you are now, and I look forward to seeing some more great things from you. Now, what I like to do is I like to catch up with traders a couple months down the line and get a little bit of a catch up and see how things are coming along. Would you like to catch up in a couple months?
Sure.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Jeff, man, I appreciate your time today. This has been fun. I love seeing that journey. To me, that's really where it's what it's all about for me is just seeing that journey and that progression, because we get to the point where we know the story has a happy ending. So I appreciate you sharing that with us, and look forward to catching up here in a couple of months and seeing how things are coming along.
Great.
Awesome. Thanks, Jeff. Listen, have a great rest of your day, and we'll chat soon, okay?
All right. Thank you.
You bet.
Bye bye.